I'd like to invite to the podium Kathy Cullen of Jolene's Retreat. Kathy became vegetarian at the age of 19 for health reasons, but compassion quickly became her driving force as she realized she no longer wanted to contribute to animal suffering. After decades of questioning dairy, she went fully vegan on January 1st, 2013, and she never looked back. Learning more about the realities of animal agriculture just deepened her commitment, leading her to immerse herself in activism, education, protests, conferences, and sanctuary visits. And I can confirm that I have stood beside her at many, many events. In 2021, she retired, purchased 10 acres in Occidental, and turned her long-held dream into reality. In May 2023, she opened Jolene's Retreat, welcoming her very first rescued family of 5 pigs. Welcome to the podium, Kathy, to National Animal Rights Day.
Hopefully my booth won't blow away while I'm up here. I'm a little shorter. There we go. Can everybody hear me? Thank you all for being here. We would love to see many, many more, hundreds, thousands of people listening to what we have to say. I'm going to talk just a little bit about my sanctuary and then on to education. I was a teacher for 25 years, so education is my passion. That's what I know. That's what works for me. Like Alice said, we opened Jolene's Retreat in 2023, 5 pigs. Turned into 12 pigs within 2 months. We were not told that 2 of them were pregnant. I hear that's quite common. We did a very quick deep dive into what to do with 12 pigs. And everyone ended up being happy and healthy. I decided to open a sanctuary after I had been to the Gentle Barn. As a matter of fact, I didn't know anything about them. I had read her book, the founder's book, and as soon as I visited, I felt it. I could feel it. I just started crying when I was able to hug a cow. I'd never done that before, and the connection was unbelievable. And I knew right then that this is what I need to do. And so at that point, I was a few years away from retirement, but had already started making plans for that and figuring out what I'd be able to do. I took a year after I retired to get my things together from Southern California, come back to Northern California, where I was originally from, in Palo Alto. And in that time, I did as much activism as I could full-time since I had the year after retiring. And I threw myself into it. Best thing I've ever done. Changed my life, even though I had gone vegan before that, but I really got to see a lot of things that I hadn't seen before that were so painful. Your eyes become opened after you go vegan, after you're educated, and you can't turn away. You can't go back. Once those eyes have been opened, once you've seen what you've seen, you've heard what you've heard, it's impossible to see the world any other way again. And it's pain every single day. Wherever you go, driving down the road, everything is animal based and not in a good way. So it's a very different world once you become vegan and once you are educated. They talk about the blue pill and the red pill from The Matrix, if any of you have ever seen the movie, and it's so true. Again, once your eyes are opened, you can never look back. So once we open the sanctuary, I see what these animals go through. When I used to go to the slaughterhouse in Southern California, we would go with one of the organizations there every Sunday and every Wednesday. Those vigils were held, and you would see the trucks come in with hundreds of pigs on those slaughter trucks, and they would stop. We were lucky enough, that's probably the wrong word to use, where the police liaisons were there, and they had those trucks stop for us for at least 30 seconds to a minute. And we would bring water, some people would bring music, and we would stand next to those trucks. We'd see them coming down the street and someone would yell, "Truck!" And everybody would run. You'd get your water and whatever you had with you. And we watched those trucks come down at night with the lights on. And you knew what was in those trucks. And it was horrible, because you knew exactly where they were going in the next few minutes after they pulled up and we said our hellos and our goodbyes. And I had no idea what that would be like when people talked about going to a slaughterhouse vigil. And I went after my first animal rights conference in 2018, and I didn't know what to expect. It was horrifying. But it wasn't about me. That's when you put your emotions away for those few minutes, those 30 to 60 seconds that you're with those beautiful, beautiful animals that are 6 months old. These are babies that we are sending to slaughter. 80 billion land animals a year, as Jack was talking about. It's astounding, the animals we breed into existence and kill. So I looked into their eyes. We just put a hand out if they were amenable to that. That right there changed you. You say, how do you do that? I could never do that. People can never do a lot of things until you do it. And until you get educated and you see what's actually out there. So having a sanctuary has also changed a lot. Even though I had already seen a lot of things before that I don't want to say I wish I hadn't seen, because I'm glad I seen, and I would never take it back. If I knew then what I know now, I would still continue doing what I'm doing, because it's the right thing to do, and these animals need us desperately. So working at the sanctuary every day, we live on property. I'm there every day. And I see these living beings and who they are, not what they are. And it's really hard for me when I hear people call them it, right? When we call he, she, they, people say, oh, it was so sweet. Oh, I saw it walking down the street. And they think they're being kind. They're trying to describe these animals kindly. And I try to correct people and say they're actually he, she, they. They're a living, breathing, sentient being, and that's how I refer to all our babies. They're all people for me. And I tell people that when they come to the sanctuary for a tour. And I encourage people to connect with our animals that are there. We have 14 pigs. We have 2 calves. Another calf is on the way in the next couple of weeks. We're negotiating that rescue. We have 2 ducks, and we have 5 birds, little bantam roosters. And to watch, I'm not necessarily, I don't connect as much with birds for whatever reason. We all have our own animals I believe that we connect with. Pigs and cows I connect with. Knowing what those cows go through in the dairy industry kills me. What those pigs go through with their babies in the crates. And I know chickens are probably the most abused animals because of the volume, the sheer volume that they go through. And I watch our little bantam hens and chickens, and they're in there, and they have the most incredible conversations. It's unbelievable. It's fascinating to just sit and listen to what they have to say to each other, listening to the change in their vocals. I have no idea what they're saying. I wish I could speak chicken. I do my best to try and understand by their body movements and how their voice changes. And it's incredible, and I could sit there and watch them for hours. They're dust baths. They get themselves just so they're preening. What they like to get out of the ground is unbelievable. And people relinquish them to a chicken wing, to a chicken leg. You're eating a living being who wants to live, who has their own personality, who has their own, the word escapes me, they love each other. They get upset with each other. I see it. We have everybody who's absolutely wonderful, and then they don't get along anymore, just like humans, just like us. Our pigs, they're a family. They came as a family. We had to end up separating them because they couldn't get along anymore. So it's the same, when I tell people that when they come to the sanctuary, and I tell people what pigs are like and their personalities, and they say, oh wow, yeah, it sounds just like humans. When I say, oh, they can't even get along and they're still family. Yeah, I pretty much do that with my brother and my sister. Yes, absolutely. And they're so smart. So I encourage people to see them again for who they are, not what they are. Just watch them for a little while when you come for that tour. Think about your companion animals at home, how much they're alike in what they do. Pigs get the zoomies. I don't know if anybody knows that. Pigs get the zoomies. It's hilarious. Pigs love to lay in a mud pit. I think we go hang out to certain spas. You go in a mud pit. That's what we do as humans. Pigs love their snacks. They love to forage. They love to be entertained as far as trying to find. They like enrichment. So we hide snacks for them. We think of things for them to do. And it's so hard to know that all these living beings are reduced to a plate for 10 minutes? A meal maybe lasts 5, 10, 15 minutes. I don't know, for my mom, it used to last forever. She liked to chat while she was eating, but it's brutal and it's very difficult. And I believe that we were all born vegan. We were taught, again, this is where the education component comes in. We were taught to eat animals, that this is what you're supposed to do. This is healthy. This is how you get your nutrients, is from animals. You know what? I've been vegan for 13 years, again, vegetarian, which I'm sorry that I was vegetarian for so long and didn't figure it out before that. But I'm healthier than I've ever been. It's not a problem. People have lived their entire lives as vegan and so incredibly healthy. If you look at the amount of athletes, the Olympic athletes, so many athletes now in football and basketball and volleyball, the Olympics, car racers. Lewis Hamilton is the first one that comes to mind because we have tennis, thank you. We have a pig named Lewis and my partner calls him Lewis Hamilton all the time. So no one needs to eat meat. We were taught that. So if we were taught to do that, we can unteach ourselves, or we can teach ourselves to do something different and to know that we don't need to consume animals in any way, shape, or form. We can teach people, show people, share with people. We don't have to preach to them. We all get our education differently. Again, I was a teacher for 25 years. All of my students were so incredibly different. I had to figure out a different way to talk to them and to teach them. So we all hear things differently. And that's what I'm here to do at our sanctuary. I believe that's what I was put on this earth for. A little late, but here I am. I'm doing the best I can. I want to share that with everyone, and I want everyone just to open their hearts and be educated as to who these beautiful beings are. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being who you are and your activism.